Hi, as a physiotherapist, when I send you for an MRI, these are the 4 things I'm looking for. My name is Stella Munde. I'm a consultant physiotherapist at Stella Physio Health and Wellness Center. Today, let me take you through how to interpret an MRI of the spine. Now, I like to call it the ABCD of MRI interpretation. A stands for alignment. In alignment, all we're checking for basically is, zoom in with me, is a spine is supposed to be S-shaped. If you look at this spine, there's a bit of an exaggeration in terms of posture around here and a lot of sharpness, especially around the tailbone area. What this means is too much tension, especially around the shoulder blade, trapezius, and the neck regions of this patient's spine. Also, there'll be a lot of tension, especially on the very low back, the tailbone area, because of this sharp area around here. That is A for alignment. B is for bones. Bones means what you do is you're checking the vertebral bodies against each other. Now, if you can zoom in with me again, is in these vertebral bones, in the bones, the main thing you're looking for is for fractures, number one. Number two, osteophytes. Fractures, you know how to check for fractures, right? But osteophytes, what you're looking for is the sharpness of the no more bones should be like this at the end, a nice smooth feel like this. But when it's a bit too sharp because of the degenerational process that happens, especially on the spine, what happens is you have a sharp end like this, which is not in the long term good, because that means the bone is actually has a bit of a friction around, especially around that area. Number C is spinal cord. The spinal cord is this white thing or this white structure you're seeing over here. For the spinal cord, we check for 2 things, either compression or lesions. Now, a compression looks like this. If you may zoom in with me one more time, it looks, there's one around here. You can see how nice and smooth the spinal cord here was. And all of a sudden, there's a bit of an interruption here. I'll give you a more clearer view with the one for the neck. So how you know this is an MRI for the neck is obviously you can see your brain area here, and this is the neck. Now, remember we said it's supposed to be an S shape. S shape because the spine holds our body weight. When it holds our body weight, what that means is our body weight is supposed to be distributed across your spine. So really your weight doesn't really matter when it comes to especially back pains, because your spine is supposed to adjust and be able to distribute your body weight across the spine. Now the same thing happens with the neck. The neck carries the weight of your head. What happens is when neck is too straight, it pushes all the pressure. If you can look at even my neck, there's a bit of an arc towards the front, as you can see. But when neck is straight, as this patient's neck is, there's a lot of tension, especially just put together at the C7 levels of the cervical spine. This is not good. But we're discussing C, which is the cold compression. So if you may zoom in with me, let's look for cold compression, especially on this one. You can see how smooth the spinal cord is over here and on the earlier stages. But on this area, there's one bit of a compression there. There's another one on this region and another one on this region. So those are 3 areas, but there's one obvious one around this area. Now, what I'm actually looking for in this is actually, this is determined by the number D, which is disc, intervertebral disc spaces. Disc spaces are actually in the bones. So remember I talked about the bones, which is the bones of the spine are called vertebrae, and what separates the vertebrae is called the intervertebral disc space, which is this jelly-like structure over here. So the jelly-like structure is actually supposed to have spaces of certain levels, depending on what level of the cervical of the spine it is. Now, the disc sometimes gets a lot of pressure because obviously the spine is too straight, so it's giving a lot of pressure on one area of the disc. What happens is starts by complaining a bit where it forms a bulge. A bulge is because the disc is made of fluid, so it bulges out. When it bulges out, we call it a disc bulge. That's what most of the people, especially on MRI, see as disc bulges. As it exaggerates and it gets degenerated, it becomes an herniated disc. Later on, when it's basically too thick, we call it a disc prolapse. So it's a disc herniation, disc bulge, disc herniation, disc prolapse in that region. So as it generates, it gets shrinker, and at this point is what you get here, like on this area where you can see the nice ones are nice and big, but there are some regions here that are not too large. This is what ideally we refer to as arthritis of the spine, or what may be diagnosed as cervical or lumbar spondylosis in that case. Cervical meaning the neck, lumbar meaning the lower back. And that's how to interpret your MRI. Thank you.